in Codiva, and I want to create class. So by just click this button here. And so make sure that I'm in the right directory, right folder. So it's not chapter 9, it's actually chapter 3. And so I'm going to call this print shape or print shapes. Okay, so I'm going to print different kind of shapes. So this is the class name. And again, you can tell the class name start with capital P, no space between two words. The second word has to be capitalized too. And the class name supposed to tell us what is this class is used for. So giving a very good name here. Okay, don't call homework 1, homework 2. And so every class, if I gave you the name, then use that name. Otherwise, I would prefer you create a name that's just like a title of your paper or English paper, right? You need to give a book and give very good name. So this is the class name. And then I can go ahead, click on create. And the Codiva gave us a default kind of code there, and which is okay. So we'll do some modifications by putting public in front of the class here. And they do give us a main method here, and so which is fine. So you can see that this is a main method. This is one method with nothing in it, right? But this is a method, okay? And so again, inside a class are methods. So right now, the main method has nothing to it. And guess what? I can create another method. I can call public static void, and I can call this print rectangle. And I call this print rectangle. And so that other method, empty method, I can create, right? And I can fill the content later on, but just want to show you the structure here. And I can have more methods. So public static void print, say, triangle. All right. So what's the structure here is that when I start create a method, the first thing I need to think about it is normally, yes, we want the method to be public. So for the moment, you can think about every method you create will be public, public, public. Okay. And also for the moment, every method we create, it's a static. Okay. So it's a static. It doesn't have to be, but for the moment, it's a static. All right. And then we will have some return type. We will have some return type. We will have some return type. So void means that we don't return anything. And sometimes we might want to return some data. And for example, so this is a print. Normally, the print doesn't really return anything, but we could return something. So for example, we can call public static, and say, for example, we can return a string. And so we'll call print name, for example. Okay. So when we say print name, we might say we're not really printing anything for you, or instead of say print, and we can just say get name. All right, so I'm gonna give you this demo. And so when I need to really kind of return the names. So here there's an arrow here because I don't know, you didn't return me anything. So here I probably gonna create something string called name. Okay, initially this name is nothing, and then show you how am I gonna get the name. And then see here, I need to return name. Okay, so the type here has to match. So the name type is a string. So it asks you to return a variable value that is match the type that's asking here. And so now this is kind of like the frame of a class, right? And we need to fill in the details. We need to fill in the details. You can see every time when we do the coding, we're not coding 9 by 9. We're coding by building from outside and gradually goes inside to fill in the details. Okay, so this is the way we're supposed to do the coding here. Now let's focus on the rectangle first. So the structure again is public static and return, right? I'm talking about the third one, return. So if we don't return anything, we're using void. If we do need to return something, we need to give the type, and the type can be the data type that we learned from a chapter 2, like integer, like a double. And so for chapter 3, we can also return the type of string, which is a class name. It's a capitalized, that means it's a class name. And string is a very important class that this chapter is talking about. So we can return. And then we have to come up with a good method name. So this is my creation. I call my method print rectangle. The method start with the lowercase, right? The method start with the lowercase and lowercase, right? And every time when we have another word, we cannot have a space in between them. So we have an uppercase for the first letter of second word. So here is called print rectangle, print triangle, print name. So the second word is capitalized, right? So main method name here is it's a requirement in every Java class to every Java application, not a single class. Okay, so right now we build one application as one class. So that's why we have the main method here. Later on, we'll learn that we build the class without main, but we do have lots of method there. So the name, okay? Now, the next thing we're gonna have to consider is what's the parameters? You know, what's our parameter list? So for print rectangle, we need 2 parameters. We need length, we need width, right? So we need 2 parameters. We need length, we need width. So that's why I gave you 2 parameters, both are integer. So int length, comma, that's 1 parameter, and then int width, that's another parameter. Okay, so that gives us the perfect definition of the parameter, of the method. And now we need to go inside the method to really write the details about how we're gonna print a rectangle. So if I give you a length, I give you a width, how we're gonna print a rectangle. And actually, we can give you a third, okay? We can give you a string, okay? And this tells you how you're gonna fill the rectangle width, okay? And so we'll call this fill, right? How you're gonna actually print this rectangle. So say, for example, if you give me a star, I will fill the rectangle with star. If you give me a number 1, I will fill the rectangle with 1, okay? It could be a string, so maybe string is not a better idea. So because it's 1 character, so I'm gonna use in char, okay? So this is 1 character that I'm gonna fill this with. So the rectangle has a row, so I'm gonna do this one here, and I will have a for loop. And so for loop is start from int I, start from 0 and I want to print how many, the length is, then how many width, okay? So the row is here I, it's actually I'm gonna represent, I can use I or I can use row, okay? And so the thing here is that for the row count, it's actually count from the 0, which is the first row, right? And I can go all the way to the width of the total row, right? And then so I'm gonna have row plus plus, right? So how am I gonna fit in each of the row? Is I have to print each of the column. So it's actually a double loops. So the next one I'm going to print is column. Start column from 0, and then the column is less than length. And column plus plus, okay? And now for each of the column, and I'm just print the field, okay? So I just print one character. And after I finish printing one row, right? After I going through each of the column, I print one row. Then I will print a new line. I print the new line here. So inside here, I actually print the new one line. One row, sorry, I'm printing one row here, okay? And then I can repeat about how many rows I'm gonna print. So that looks good to me. And then guess what? And I'm gonna just start testing it by calling it. So I'm gonna call print rectangle. And let's say I'll give the length to be 6 and width to be 5. And the character I'm gonna do is, I'll just do the initial T here, okay? And let's just see if I get rectangle out by click on run. And there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And this is a kind of my width here. This is the width, and this is the length. So the 6 of them. So this is the length, and this is the width. And I got my rectangle here. Okay. We can call by given a different parameters. So I can say print rectangle. And let's print, maybe this is a more 12 and 3, and I can print, no, just single. So I can print a star if we want to. Okay, so print different ones. And now if I run again, so you can see I actually change the rectangle in different shapes and different fillings here, right? The next thing we can, so this looks very good. See here how many parameters I pass? 1, 2, and 3, okay? For print triangle, do I want to pass any of the sides? Maybe yes. So I'm gonna say integer, and I want to see what's the size of the triangle you want to print. And also I will say, hey, what's the fill you want to have, right? And so for print the triangle, it's kind of like, we can kind of like doing the rectangle here. All right, I think I can pretty much copy all the code here and doing a little modifications. So I'm kind of copy every code here, right? So it says, hey, you don't have the width, you don't have the length. I know. So what we're going to do here, we're going to change the width to size. So for each of the row, okay, now I will have to print not from the beginning to the end. So my column is actually should print is to less than the row, okay, or it's actually, is it less than or less than equal to the row, okay, then I should print the triangle here. See, so this is a very easy change, right? So let's see if I actually print that. So go back to the main, and I will say print triangle. This is one way, by the way. This is one way of print triangle. Okay, it doesn't mean we can use a different way of triangle, but this is one way. And so here, for example, we want to have some symbol, triangle, I don't know, I'll have a lowercase c, and that's it. And so let's see, we actually print. So how that goes. This is annoying. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on here today with the IT. And my video, it's not showing up either, or it's keep blocking me too. So see here, this is one way that I print the rectangle. Okay, so I'm a triangle. So the triangle I'm printing, this is an easy way of printing a triangle. Okay, so you can see this is here, this is the output, right? And I have a character to filling in, and this is the size. It doesn't really look like the row and column are the same, but yes, they are. So if you can count the row, it's 8, and then the number of characters is 8 too. So that's triangle, and how many parameters I'm giving here, and I'm giving 2. Okay, see, sometimes if you totally understand it, it's quick because I can just do a little modification of what's the existing code, and I get it, right? And I print different shapes here. Now, since I'm on this demo, and I will say, hey, the last thing I want to show you is also how we're going to return a string. See here, everything else I can park here. Every time I'm do the coding, I focus on one method. Okay, I'm focused on one method. After I finish this method, the main method here is used to testing to see if my method works. Okay, so this is the design of the parameters. So you need to have a parameter and the name. The parameter, type and the name, type and the name, and type and the name. And now in the usage here, when we try to use the method, we need to pass a real parameter. We need to say, all right, you asked for an integer, then I need to give you a real integer value, which is 6. So make sure you understand the differences between real parameters here and now just the design for the parameter. Okay. So let's focus on this time. We're not just return nothing. We actually return a string here. Initially the string is nothing. Now this chapter also at the end of it, it's talking about the taking input from user. Okay, it's taking input from a user. It's a scanner, right? So we're talking about the scanner class. We're talking about the scanner, okay, and it shows you how in the scanner we need to really first call import a library. Okay, we need to import a library. Means that the scanner is really the whole classes, methods, somewhere someone wrote it and we want to use it. So it's the scanner. And so I'll demonstrate to you how we're going to use that. And so in here, we go back to the top, we'll do import java.util.start. Now start here means that we'll import the whole, oh, come on. This is getting noisy today. Can I do something like that? All right. So it just means that the start means that we are importing every single class in the utility package. All right. And so if I'm going on here and I can do scanner, okay, so scanner, you see this is uppercase. That means scanner is a class. Where this class is, that's in the utility package. Okay, so scanner, and then I will call this keyboard equal new scanner, and now I'm gonna using the default system in means that I'm actually using the keyboard to entering the input. All right, good. So what I'm gonna do here is, and then I will do system.out.print9, and I will say, kind of say, what is your name? All right, I'm gonna kind of have an interaction with the user to say, hey, what is your name? And then I can save the name from whatever the user typed in the keyboard, and then I will say next. Well, if you want to give me the whole name, I can do next 9. So I will save the whole 9. Okay, if you just say next, that means we only have one word. Okay, but if we say next 9, and then if I type in my whole name, it will actually save that into the name. And then I can return that. And so back in here, and I can use it. I can just call, I can say system.out.print9, and then I will call, say this, my name is, and then I can do string concatenation by calling this get name. All right, so this is the method get name we are creating. And after we create this get method, it will return a string. And so I can print the string out, right? So in here, I don't have a print. It just says, what is your name? And I'm asking some questions here. All right, let's see how that works, right? So if I run here, all right, cool. So I print 2 rectangles and 1 triangle, and then here it asks me the question, what is your name? And here you can enter. If you click on here and then click on enter, it will actually kind of like the console, but this is a browser. So this will allow you to give the input. Okay, so if I'm entering Claire 10, right? And then I say enter here. So it will say my name is Claire 10. Right, so that's the main method output. So this is my entering. Okay, and then the system will print out, say, hey, my name is Claire 10. So this is the whole demonstration, and in here I demonstrate quite a lot, and you guys can see the code from Codiva, and in here I demonstrate quite a lot about the chapter and demonstrate about, oh, this is annoying, don't know what's going on. I demonstrate about you know, how we're using the scanner, right? You can read that, and then also the string method can be the string method is actually, strings class is a very, very important class, and they have a different method here. Another example is I can, instead of get names here, you can also return some of the method about, how many characters in the string, and we can change to lowercase to uppercase and the index of. In that video method, I showed up in the string method class. So here is, I think I made the video on this one here, okay? But the print shape, it's again emphasize that how, or demonstrate to you how we can create the method. Again, understand the code was generated not 9 by 9, right? And I'm going like filling the blanks, and then filling the blanks, right? And then I'm going back here to test my code. And that's the process of generate the code. We never write the code going 9 by 9. And you shouldn't do that either, okay? So when you try to recreate this class, and I want you to learn from the process, how this has been generated.